Welcome to the Reddit library. Pawn shop owners, what was the most illegal thing a customer had brought to your shop? Worked at a gun shop and a shady looking guy brought in a few pairs of night vision goggles, like high-end military grade PVS 14 night vision goggles. Ask him why he was selling them for. I just don't need them anymore. Cool man, do you mind if I call the company real quick and run the numbers? Sometimes this stuff is stolen property. And as soon as I said that, he jumped across the counter, grabbed the goggles, and bolted for the door. That Camaro payment at 29.7% APR hits different after a few months. Employee not owner. A guy brought in a stack of like 15 laptops that all said property of City Public School right on the top of each one. He then threatened to shoot me when I told him to get out. Edit, because it's been brought up multiple times. Yes, I'm aware that schools/businesses, etc. sometimes sell off old laptops, which is why I don't flat out call the cops whenever somebody brings in a suspected stolen item. There's always the chance that no matter how obviously stolen it is, the person owns it legit. However, I'm not going to risk my job or my conscience by taking in an item if it has a label on it claiming it's somebody else's property. Also, how am I supposed to sell a laptop that says property of City Public Schools on it? Pawn shops have a bad enough rap as it is. What's the proper protocol for a situation like this? Call the cops? Boot the guy? Kick them out? And lock them out of the system? Buddy of mine worked at a pawn shop for a few years. They had a guy try to sell them a police walkie-talkie, like straight stolen from a car, but with the battery taken out. They told him to get ducked and called the cops. I believe they picked the guy up a few hours later. How is that possible if the guy could hear their every communication? Lies. But with the battery taken out he got charged, but not with battery, so that was probably a smart move. This just reminded me of my friend who pawned a DSLR camera I let him borrow for a school project. I asked for it back a good amount of times, and not once did he tell me what he did. I had to hear it from someone else, and then he claimed that I gave it to him. Did you get the money back? What camera was it? Nope. He never paid me for it. And it was a Canon EOS Rebel T3i. They aren't worth much now, but this was 5 years ago, and it broke my heart because it was a gift from my dad, and I had considered him a close friend. Okay, I'm not a pawn shop owner, but I know a few. One thing I've seen was a guy who brought in smoke grenades and M249 saw belts that he had stolen from our local military drill center. Another was a guy at a local gun store who brought in a pistol that had an illegal oil filter suppressor on it. They told the guy get the duck out and go destroy that thing, stealing weaponry from a military drill center. This thread is full of bold brazen criminals, but that takes the cake from me. That's someone with no fear. Not an owner, but I got a call from a pawn shop saying that one of my at-home employees tried to sell her work computer. It has my company's logo and contact info right on it, plain as day. How stupid can some people be? A school security guard pawned his service pistol and other equipment. He got caught by his supervisor carrying around a pellet gun. Why am I not at all surprised that it's Florida? A guy literally brought in an RPG. He was doing yard work for this old lady whose husband had passed. She gave it to him for doing some yard work, not realizing it was live and active. The guy was career military, and after the bomb squad came and disabled it, they went to her house and found a trove of similarly very illegal military grade weapons. Not that I'd want anyone to get hurt, but a little old lady in a violent standoff with police would seriously break the tension. Old lady with rocket launcher or squad of police with pistols. Who wins? Old lady distracts police squad with knitted sweater. Just a worker here, but we had a couple come in to pawn their backhoe over the weekend. Happens a lot, and brought their bill of sale. They wanted a simple $1 K loan, which wasn't bad considering how much it was worth. No more than 30 minutes later, cops are there with the owner. Apparently they worked for him and went and pawned all of his industrial equipment. How did that go? You had to return it, I assume. Did you get a 1K back from the thief? It went as well as they usually do. Police confiscated the item to use it in court to try and extend the sentence. We lost the 1k because cops tried to tack it on during the legal process. We receive restitution from them for usually a week of about $50 payments, then no more payments after, usually because they aren't working or aren't making enough in jail. Literally had a customer come in and say, "Hi, I've just stolen this phone off my sister. How much will you give me for it?" Also had a customer bringing 5 MacBooks at the same time with a certain logo on it which gave me the impression they were stolen. Told him to leave them with me for testing and called the police. Had another customer bringing a gun and a crossbow. That was weird. I'm in the IJK. This is not a normal thing. You always gotta look out for the people bringing in a crud ton of brand spanking new tools or electronics. Over time you learn to read people based on their appearance, behavior, and personal information. An experienced pawnbroker can almost always immediately sleuth out whether they are stolen or not. In these cases, they usually are. I've never had someone intentionally bring in illicit items, but it's important to check pockets and compartments on cases and similar things. It's not unheard of for some eclectic customer to forget about a little baggie of weed the yard stashed. One guy paid off his loan with cash, and there was a thin layer of white residue coating it. First time I'd seen that one. Not illegal, but toward the beginning of the Tom Hanks sickness, some wise crack nutcase did try to sell us disinfectant. Funny but also annoying. I didn't work there, but was there at the time. A guy brings in a dead duck, which hunting is illegal in my area, and also why just whack mon. Dwight, we talked about this. No dead animals in the office. No, this one is different. I found it dead. Clean it in your car. Story from the 90s. My Fender Stratocaster was stolen, and I reported it. Couple years passed, and an officer called me. Off. Your guitar serial number showed up at a pawn shop. Me. Great. So you know who stole it? Off. The guy who sold it to pawn shop said it was a present from his girlfriend, but she died. Me. Okay. So I get my guitar back. Off. No. The pawn shop already sold it. Me. Don't they have to check serial numbers? Off. Yeah, but that can take 30 days and we can't expect them to hold on to this stuff forever. Me. What? So what do I do now? Off. Nothing really. Me. So why are you calling me? Off. Just thought you would want to know. Bye. Source. My true story. Most stuff isn't even worth the time to report it stolen. So I'm not an owner and I wouldn't call this illegal per se, but I feel like I have to share this. A friend of mine owns a pawn shop, and one day a dude walks in with a cardboard box filled to the top with his own crud. He claims that it's magic and my friend cuts him off right there and kicks him out. As he is walking out he drops the box on accident, gets all of his crud on the floor, sees the mess 8 years made, stares at the horrid pile of crud for a couple of seconds, and runs out of the shop. My friend never got his name, and never saw him again. The smell would proceed to linger in the shop for a good month, after it was cleaned up. Edit. Typo: when you wrote crud, I presumed you meant stuff, and it was further into the story that my understanding changed. I would like to go back a few minutes and not keep reading. Same here, till he got to the smell part, and then it dawned on me he meant crud. Not a pawn shop owner, but was in the pawn shop when this happened. Someone brought in a wheelchair with the tag for the local hospital on the back. Example, property of somewhere hospital. The pawn shop owner told them to leave it and get out. They didn't. He called the non-emergency line. The police came and picked it up and took it back to the hospital, or that's what they said they were doing. Why wouldn't you believe them? Were they scooting around in the car park taking turns? I started laughing out loud. ASL was picturing cops taking turns to do a spin and wheelies with it for some reason. Friend of mine owns a shop. One day a woman walks in and asks if there was a female employee she could talk to. No problem, it's a family shop and his 8-year-old daughter comes out to help her. She asks to go out to her car, where she opens the trunk. Whole thing is packed with X toys, bondage crud, outfits and a big box of long items. Woman says her sister who recently passed away sold this stuff at parties, and she had no idea what to do with it. Not illegal, but hilarious. Are you kidding? She had a trunk filled with weapons of butt destruction. Not a pawn shop owner, but I was on the receiving end of someone selling my stolen stuff at one. We had our house burgled, in 0k. Me and my dad went to some pawn shops, to give them a list of everything taken. Whilst we were in there, someone comes up to counter, and starts unloading a bunch of stuff they want to pawn. It was our stuff. We got in a major incident inside the shop. The butthole manager of cash converters was saying it's nothing to do with me, take it all outside the shop. Sorry buddy, but when you're happy to buy a camera full of someone else's family photos, a laptop, and a bunch of other electronics from two junkers who look like they are homeless, no teeth, obvious signs of drug abuse etc., then it's absolutely 100% your problem to deal with. Police called, junkies charged with handling stolen goods. I got charged with assault. That was later dropped. Nobody charged with the actual burglary, so no real punishments for anyone involved.